For question 2.5, what is expected of you when it comes to this particular exercise is that you have to create the following user accounts on the two Windows 10 machines. So on PC1, let me bring forth PC1. This is PC1 for me. You would need to create the following users, right? There are 5 people, and choose own password. So you have to choose a particular password for them, and create a group called producers PC01 and add these users to that group. So this is what you also do on PC2. When you get to PC2, you create the following user accounts to your Windows 10 so that they can also access this PC. Then you create a group called producers PC02 and add these users to the group. So here you have to note passwords must conform to password policies defined in 2.6. So before you can do 2.5, you need to check for what's important here in 2.6. So it says, using your local security policy, configure the following settings. So here we'll have to type your local. So if you type local security policy, this is what you get. This is where you configure your policy settings. So click on this once. We are inside PC1. Remember this, local security policy. So within your local security policy, as you have on the screen here, a place here says account policies. So this is where you configure the policies for the account. So if you go into your assignment here, it says password policy settings, enforce password history, make the value 24. So when you come in here, you say password policy. You can click it from here also. Enforce password history. You can see it says 0 passwords remembered. So we're going to set it to something else. So in order to access this, you double click. And now we'll change this to 24. So all you need to do is change it to 24. So for every policy that you have within this section, you can configure it on this tab, and the second tab explains what it's all about. So it says the value must be between 0 and 24. And we've chosen, let's go to the original tab, local security settings. We've chosen 24 to be the maximum. So you apply the setting and you click OK. So we've changed the setting in here. If you go back into the space, it says maximum password age. You go back in here, maximum password age, double click, change it from 42 to 30, you apply and click OK. Next, you go into minimum password age, and you change the minimum password age also here by double clicking. It says 21. Minimum password length will be 8. Then so all you have to do is come here and check for those things, double click and change the configuration. That's what's expected of you. Then the next one says password must meet complexity requirements. You must enable this. Store passwords using reversible encryption. You have to disable this. So if you go back in here, it says password must okay, let's first tackle this. Password must meet complexity requirements. Password must meet complexity requirements. Double click on this. Our assignment says you have to enable it. So sorry about that. Okay, so you come in here and you enable it. You apply and click OK. Then the other one says store password using reversible encryption should be disabled. So already here it's disabled. So that's all you need to do for this particular password configuration settings. So the next one says your account lockout policy. So we go into our account lockout policy, double click on this. Account lockout duration should be set to 0. So it says lockout duration minutes, no. So it's not letting us set this, but by default it should be 0. So since it's not taking on anything, it's okay. We talked about this in your last test. Account lockout threshold should be 3. So double click on this. Invalid attempts, you change it to 3 and you apply. Because of the value lockout threshold is down 3, the settings for the following will change to the suggested lockout duration. Yeah, so okay. So it says remember we said our lockout duration, it didn't give us an option earlier, but now that we've created the threshold to be 3, value of 3 gave us 30 minutes, but now we're going to go back and change it to the value of 0. So double click into lockout duration, change it to 0. Okay, account is locked out until administrator unlocks it. Apply and click OK. So the third one says reset account lockout counter after 99,999. So that's 9 in 5 places. So double click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is what you need to type in there. Click apply and click OK. So you can read about each policy as you go on. You take a screenshot of the interface. The next thing, remember to always take a screenshot of the interface. If you did the first password policy after setting it up, you take a screenshot of the interface. This one also. Then the next here it says additional configure the following security settings. So we need to configure for interactive logon, do not require Ctrl-Alt-Delete, make it disabled. Interactive logon, do not display last username enabled. So we come back into this space to actually create those policies. So part of the local policies that you have is, this is within our security settings, right? So under the local policies, security options, we're checking for interactive logon. So for under the interactive logon, So you can see there are lots of options here. It says do not require Ctrl-Alt-Delete. It says not defined. Remember, you click on local policies, select security options, and look for your interactive logon. Select your interactive logon, do not require Ctrl-Alt-Delete. Double click. You need to enable this, do not require, so it won't ask you for Ctrl-Alt-Delete. So you need to disable this. So going back to, so we're going to disable it, disable this, apply, click OK. So disable this. Do not display last user name. You need to enable this. Do not display, let's see, do not display last user sign in. It says last user sign in. Do not display user at sign in, username at sign in. Do not, I'm looking for the one we just talked about. Display, I think it doesn't give the option that we're looking for. Let's see, it doesn't give any other. I think this the closest thing to what we have in the instruction here. Do not display last username is do not display last sign in. So this should be enabled. Do not display last sign in. So it says do not display username at sign in. No, it's this one, so it's correct. Do not display last sign in. Double click. Here it says we should enable this. So we're going to enable this. If you want to read more on the explanation, always come here. So it says this security setting determines whether the Windows sign-in screen will show the username of the last person who signed in on this PC. So we are on the right track. This is what you need. So we have to enable this, just like the assignment says here. Enable this, apply, and click OK. So let's check other information. It says interactive logon interactive logon message message title for users attempting to log on. The title should be acceptable computer usage. Okay. So the message for attempting logon. So this is it. Message title for users attempting the logon. Title. So take note that it's the message title. So you need to type in acceptable computer usage policy. Enter this title in here. This is what you want them to see, right? So you have some policies, and this is what they should see. Okay. So next you go into your interactive logon, message text for users attempting to log on. Enter the following text for these settings. So these are the rules that you want them to see. So remember the one just above it, message text that you want them to see under the title. I don't think you need to type them one by one. Come into this space, copy this, and go back into where we have the text here. Paste this. These are the rules you want them to see. Click apply and click OK. So we're going to continue this in the next video. So please stay tuned.